All right, so one look at using mockups in your brand identity, using mockups in your brand identity. So quickly, we're looking at this letterhead, right? Now, how did I design this letterhead? Now, in this particular mockup in Photoshop, right, there is the letterhead here. Now, I'll come into the folder called design. I'll click the drop down. I'll come to the letterhead. I'll double click on the smart object and open it, right? Now, the smart object has a size, right? I can easily just drag it and drop it inside Adobe Illustrator to get the size. Once I drag it into Illustrator to get the size, then I will now do what? I will draw a rectangle over it. Now, I will now start designing my own what? Letterhead. And that was how I did this one. Place the logo there, place the things you want below it, and you're done. That's basically it. Now, because I've designed it already, I'll just drag it and drop it into where? Photoshop. Now, if you cannot drop it into Photoshop because your system will be lagging, export it first. I know a lot of people cannot do this actually, but me is the easiest way for me. If you can't do this, export the letterhead first, and I will show you quickly how to export it. Very easy. You don't need to create an artboard, right? I know a lot of people don't know this, and these are secrets that people pay for. But let me show you. Now, let's assume that I want to export this letterhead that I've done, right? I didn't create an artboard around it. I didn't create anything. Now, if I select everything and I right click, I can say, come here and say collect for export. Collect for export as what? As a single asset. If you choose multiple assets, everything on the letterhead will come separately. Now, if I choose as a single asset, you will see asset 9. I can rename it to what? Letterhead, right? I'll select it. Now, I want to export it as a PNG. I can export it as JPEG, but I want to, because there's a background behind it, I can just, let me just choose JPEG anyways. And I will click on what? Export. It will ask me, where do I want to save it to? I want to save it to Bondworks folder, and I'll select the folder, and it has exported already. So you go back to your Bond. Okay, it's in progress. It's exporting as exported. So you go back to your Bondworks project. You might not see my screen right now, but it has exported into a folder called JPEG. I can now drag it from here into Photoshop. Right, the one that I exported is what I'm dragging now. Use the space. Now listen, if you have a problem dragging, now just come to File and go to Place Embedded. Place Embedded will take you, will open folders for you, right? And you can place anything. So let's come to JPEG. This is where it is, and then you double click on letterhead, and it places it there, and that's it. Chicken up. You're done. You adjust it a little bit and you press what? Control and save. Control S. Control S. Right? Once you press Control Save, you come back and check. And see it has updated here. Now let's quickly do the others. Now the business card needs to change also. Double click on the smart object of the business card. Now don't forget to close these ones. Just close these ones if you have finished working with it. Close that. Okay, we're coming to this. So business card. I'll come again inside here. I've designed my business card already, right? So I'm holding spacebar to grab my artboard and move around. I'm holding spacebar. So when I click my mouse, it grabs it and I can move around. That's what I'm doing. So this layer, I want to copy this card now. I will lock the layer at the back. I'll press Ctrl and 2 to lock the layer at the back so that when I'm selecting the card alone, it doesn't select the background. So I grab the card and I drop it into Photoshop. Remember, if you cannot do this, you know what to do. Export it first. Right? export it first, and just come and place embedded if that's easier for you, right? And so it has dropped. I will adjust it. I'm actually supposed to use the vertical version of the logo here instead of the horizontal version. So yeah, let's just see how this works. So I'll just place it and do what? Press Control Save again. And when I save it, it actually save an update in my stationary mockup. And you see, the update is here. Upon doing that, I want to actually change the ones on this folder. Number one is the folder. I'll double click on the folder again, right? You can see the color. The color needs to change. Now for the folder, I may not want to use green again because almost everything is green, green, green. But let's see. I will go and copy the color in Adobe Illustrator. I want to copy this particular color. Control C to copy. And I come here and I look at the field, and then I do what? I paste it. Now the color changes, right? Now every other thing that has been done, the name, right, the lines, they are not showing, isn't it? Now what do? We lock this background layer, we select all these ones together and merge them. Control E to merge them. Upon merging them, you can now double click on it and add a color overlay. And double click on it and add a color overlay. So we do color overlay. The green color is already there. If you don't have the green color, you can go and copy the code, click by the side, and change the green color here, right? But the green color is already there. Now, our logo needs to change. We also need to bring the logo in, right? So which of the logos are we using? Is this one, this particular one? I'll click and drag it in and drop it into Photoshop. See, it has appeared. Remember, if you cannot do this, export all your files first. So upon dropping it, I'll just press Control and save. And you see, it has updated here. And instead of green color, we have this particular color, right? But for the folders, we look for this is add book cover. Let's first do the add book cover. So add book cover, what we just need to change is the logo. We close the eyes of the logo, come and pick the logo from here, and we drag it in and drop it here. All right. Drop it there and we reduce the size. Some mockups are faster than each other, but these stationary mockups, you need to take your time, change the colors, change so many things. Now for this artbook cover, I want to put a watermark down, right, because it's too plain. So, or I want to put the pattern. I want to put the pattern. So I will take the pattern that I've done here and drag it into Photoshop and just place the pattern inside. Now, this is me testing how it will look like with the pattern. If it doesn't look good, we'll just take it up. So the pattern is going to drop very soon. That's it. So I'll place it somewhere here to see what it gives us. As the pattern, the brand pattern, look at it very well. I'll just save it. I will show you how this pattern was done if we have enough time. So if I come back here, you see what we have here. The pattern is not bad, right? We need to change the color of this, the side of this folder. So we'll go and look for color, a folder called color. We come here. Now the artbook cover bind is, this is it. It's highlighting it. So you double click and we can now change the color. Let's say that color doesn't work. Let's use green. You can pick this green and it's okay. Or we zoom into it and pick the green of this pattern so that they blend a little. All right. So that's where we are. Now for the hardcover book, we change the color to this. I don't see what that is changing. Oh yeah, this is the magnetic bookcase. We also change the color to this, right? And we are almost there. So we now need to do the inner of this, right? And the lanyard. So what next? We come back to design. We look for hardcover, no, magnetic bookcase, the inner of the magnetic bookcase. We double click on the smart object to open it. And because we've done it here before, we'll just copy all that we did here and drag it into this place on top of everything. And then bring it down and position it. After doing that, we just press Control and save. So upon pressing Control save, we can close all these ones that we've worked on and close all these ones so that you don't have too much tabs open. Close these ones, one mockup at a time, right? Let's see. Okay, we're coming back to this. And you see, it was updated. Now the lanyard needs to be updated also. I don't think we should use green for this lanyard. Maybe this color, right? But let's look at it. So lanyard, let's double click on the smart object. And this is what we have. Now, how do I achieve this? I normally copy it, like I said. I'll select everything and drag it into Adobe Illustrator and drop it. Now, once it drops in Adobe Illustrator, I will now use a rectangle to measure the size of this one. It may not be accurate, but yeah, measure the size. I'll pick the color that I want to pick, which is this one, or this darker one, this darker shape, right? Upon picking it, the next thing to do, I will now populate my logo on top of it. So I'll go and look for the horizontal version of the logo. I'll duplicate it. I'm holding Alt to duplicate it to this point. Right now, it is under the. Oh, I've not changed this one. That was the old typeface. Because I have changed the typeface actually, so I need to replace it. I need to replace it. I'm not changing the typeface in all places, and I use the same. And I use it in the mockup. So this is the typeface that we're using now. So I need to duplicate it and have it everywhere. So though if you are using Figma, this is easier if you have actually determined your style guide, right? But in Adobe Illustrator, if I say start global edit, I can edit everything that is connected to this similar objects, but it's not the same thing with Figma. So for Figma, you can just at one click of the button, you can change everything. But this one, that's why most people prefer Figma anyways. I use Figma at times. So I will have to drop it here, reduce the size, bring it to the top, and choose the color. Choose that color. I'll have to delete this one too, and this one. So you see how simple the cards are. You don't need too much paparazzi. You know what you're doing. So yeah, this is duplicated. I'll pick the color I want to pick. That's it. Okay. This. Please let's try not to unmute, not to disturb the call because we're streaming live, right? So I'll drop this here. I'll drop this here. On dropping this here, right? I'm actually updating the logo because so the interesting thing about this is that um once you have something like this, you can always replicate and use it for any other brand that you are working for. Once you have a template like this, right? You can always remove and add things to it. That's why sometimes what really takes the time is coming up with the logo concept itself, right? This is where the work is trying to iterate. But when you are done, you have this template, you just replace things, right? And edit the template. So um let's go on. Let's go on. So we're trying to work with this lanyard. So I've dropped the lanyard here and I drew a rectangle and I realized that I've not updated the logo. So I've updated it now and we'll keep updating it. I'll duplicate it. Upon duplication, I will reduce it and place it on top of this, right? If you can't see it at the top of it, you hold Control Shift and the bracket key beside P, beside letter P, and it will take it to the top, right? Now, next thing is for me to now duplicate this, hold Alt and duplicate it across. After holding Alt and duplicating it and I drop it, I will just be pressing Control and D, Control and D, Control and D. It's paste it in the exact place that you want it to be pasted. So I'll select everything and reduce so that it fits in, right? We're working on our lanyard, right? So I want to change this color. I don't like it. I'll change it to this light color. So yeah, I can delete this one I brought in from Photoshop and just select everything, drag it and drop it inside this particular Photoshop file. Remember, if you cannot drag, just export it first. And I've showed us how to export it already. So I can now take it, I can position it well, increase it to the sides and click effect to change. There's still space up, right? Effect the change. Upon effecting the change, I can still increase it so as to fit in the space. When it fits the space, I effect the change again, and I will just hit Control and save. When I hit Control Save, right, you see that it has reflected here. That's reflected here, right? So I can now come and change the color of that on that part, right? So I'll come to color and look for the lanyard, right? Look for the lanyard and select this color. And you see the color changed. Right. And I think we are done with this dictionary. So now the background is a little bit dark, right? Now I think the background has some shadows. The shadow is very, very key. We have the dark shadow and the light shadow. I took off the dark shadow before it's so dark, right? So I will turn off that dark shadow and just do a few adjustments. Now, the adjustment I will do, I'll come to the top, right, and create brightness and contrast. Upon creating brightness and contrast, I can increase the brightness like so. It will be getting brighter. All right, I can do something with the contrast also, and so that it's not too dark. Now, the next thing to do at this point after all this is to now come to File, export as PNG. Upon exporting as PNG, uh, I will save it as mockup 2 because I don't want to lose that first one. So this is the second mockup. That was the first color I did for the client. And the client thought, okay, let's change the color to something like this, you know. And I agree. I agree. It can be stressful, but sometimes you just have to, you know, reason with your client. So upon doing that, am I now going to start dragging and dropping it into this place? I want to replace this one. So I'll come to window, I'll come to links. You will find where this file is linked. You will now relink it. So just click on this and relink it. It will open, and I will just double click on this stationary backpack to change. And I have that already. Now I'll do the same thing for other mockups that have been done, and that will be very fast. So I'll just cancel this one and save it, save the change. So let's just go through it very fast. So stationary designs actually take more time than the others. So this is one of the mockups I was done. This is another one I was done. This is another one. So let's start with this tote bag, right? Let's start with this tote bag. So this is not too complex. So the design is here. Number one, design here. Just double click on it. Now what we need to change now is actually the logo and the pattern, right? So we'll go here, we'll check for the logo, the horizontal version. So here we are. We'll just duplicate it and give it a green color. For giving it green color, we'll bring it in and drop it here. For dropping it, we'll now place it where we want it to be. This is where we want it to be. And probably just take out the former one. Then this pattern, you can take it out and bring in the new pattern. This is the new pattern. So I'll drag it in. Drag in the new pattern. If you cannot drag, you know what to do. If you were not here when I was explaining, just go back to the beginning of the video. And you know what to do. So I'm dragging my pattern in. Just waiting for it to load. If your system is not very strong, you may not be able to do this. So always just export the pattern or whatever as JPEG first before you effect any change. So here, I drag it and put it at the bottom corner, and I want to tilt it a little like so, and just increase it. Effect the change. Upon effecting the change, it won't be as dark as this again. So here we go. So yeah. So you just click Control and S to save. So just wait for it to save and we'll go and replace it in Adobe Illustrator. And that's it. After this, I think I will just work on the mockups on my own. While that is actually saving, um, I will just quickly show you something. How did I come up with this pattern? How did I come up with this pattern? Quite interesting. Now, firstly, there was this element of the logo. There was this element of the logo. Now I came to objects. I came to repeat first. Repeat, and I'll do radial repeat. Once I do radial repeat, it repeats like this. I can check, okay, how many? I want just 6 or 5. I want 5 of the radial repeat. Am I cool with the gap? This is the gap between them. Am I cool with it? I think I am okay. I can increase the radius gap, right? I think I'm okay. And in fact, this actually looks like a logo already, but a lot of logo looks like this, so I stayed away from this. So you come to object, expand, and then you expand it. Expand it. Now, while this is staying on its own, you just come again to object. You go to pattern, and you go to make pattern. When you go to make pattern, it will bring this out. Now, what you want to choose is um, how I came up with that pattern. Instead of grid, I went with, I think, X by, should be X by color, X by row. That was why I went with X by row, right? And I went with a, I think 7 by 7. Yeah, 7 by 7. And I will just now, I will effect the change. That's it. So done. I'm done with that. Now you won't see anything. Now what you now need to do is take this aside. Now draw a rectangle. Draw a rectangle. In your swatch panel, this is swatches here. A pattern has been created. So you just click on what? New pattern. When you click on new pattern, it populates. And that's how I came up with that pattern for the brand. So yeah, pretty simple. You can go back and actually watch this again if you are finding it difficult, right? So yeah, let's just go ahead. So I think our third bag has been saved. There are so many other things you can actually do to this, right? So, but I think the logo is a little bit big, and I want to reduce it. I want to reduce it. So, for reducing it, I don't think I'm really feeling the pattern. Maybe I will just use one like this, one like this, big one like this, and I would change it to a stroke. I will swap a stroke for the fill for stroke and drag it in for Photoshop. So just wait for it to load. So yeah, we have that, and I click on OK. Let's see where we can place it that it won't be disturbing. Okay, I don't think it's really disturbing like that. Let me just hit save and see. So when I come back here, everything will update by itself and move and update. So I think there's a watermark in the background of another brand logo that I want. So I would have to turn that off. So yeah, this is what we have. Quite big, a little bit distracting. So we'll just turn off the eyes. And there's a logo in the background that you can see. Let me see. I think this is it. Yeah. So sometimes you just need to keep it simple. You don't need to do a lot of things. All works. And then it's Control S. Mm, Save it again. So It will load. I wonder how if people that use a system that has HDD drive. I wonder how you guys manage to do mockups. Now die with that. Or you are using a system with maybe 4 gig RAM or even 8 gig RAM. I always wonder how you guys manage with mockups. Now that be that. I've been there. I've been there actually. I've been there. But if you make small money, right? If you make small money, what you should look at upgrading is not your lifestyle. Upgrade your tool because you make more. Upgrade your tools. So this is what we have. Pretty simple, nothing much. I want to change the strap color. So I just want to come to this side and change the strap color. Or I just use the green anyways. Pick the green from here. I have an idea of what it looks like. And that is it. Right? So I come to file, I go to export, export as PNG. On exporting as PNG, I'll select the first one, right? But instead of replacing it, I'll add 2 in front of it because it's the second one we are doing. We want to duplicate so that if the client says, go back to the initial color, you don't encounter problem. So always save copies of your work, right? So yeah, that is it. And we come back to Adobe Illustrator and we actually will, okay, let me do something quickly. Let me place it naturally so that you see what I do when it doesn't contain the artboard, right? So this can be done in 2 ways, right? You can either replace this or let's try placing it naturally. Now, the normal size of this artboard, of this particular artboard, is supposed to be 1920 by 1080. So if I have that, this is the normal size that it's supposed to be. Now, if I drag down my tote bag inside, let me go and look for my tote bag. Where is you? Fund works. So let me just drag the tote bag. Just a moment. The new one. I'll drag it inside. So what you will realize is that it doesn't contain the entire artboard. It is like this. So what do? There are several things you can do. You can start from this corner here. Now increase the size up and increase it on different sides. Right? You can just increase it till it fills the artboard. Now you know that this is now going outside the artboard. Some people will leave it like this, right? But what you can do is click the artboard tool and increase the artboards a little so that that part can show up and down. Increase it a little, and you have it. You can now draw a rectangle above your bag. On drawing a rectangle above your bag, you may not see. Let me allow you to see it is a stroke. So the rectangle needs to be above. Select everything, right click, and make clipping mask. And there you go. You replace that one. So you see our brand document is coming together. You can see it's coming together. What we need to replace now is this phone, all these other ones, which I will not bore you with, right? This one, I would have to replace it also. But yeah, that is how it is done. That is how it is done. So you already have an idea of what it is and what it looks like working in Adobe Illustrator and in Photoshop. So yeah, guys, that will be it for tonight. I need to finish this up and send to the client. Right. So I will see you on the next one. I hope somebody has actually learned something, and I hope your brand identity game changes from today. There is no shortcut to it. Just do what you need to do. Right. Yeah. So let me stop streaming and just take your questions. right. If you have a question, please ask.